This is not history to be forgotten. This is the survival code of Vietnamese military strategy. The same code Israeli minds are desperate to crack for the next 30 years. History is not only written with victories, it is written with mistakes that the defeated never have time to understand. And here is such a story. Do you believe some battles are decided before the first arrow is even shot? Bạch Đằng was not won by force. It was won by waiting for the enemy to walk into their own trap. Open your phone. Scroll. Thousands of images of wealth. Glass skyscrapers. Sleek machines. And very slowly, you begin to believe that power lies in things that are hard, modern, and expensive. The invaders from the north believed the same. They stood on bronze-plated warships. They looked at the Bạch Đằng River, and they saw only water. But the Vietnamese, with the eyes of those pushed to the edge, saw oil. A bundle of dry bamboo. A handful of straw. A bit of resin. Trivial things turned into fire dragons. Power is not in what you have. It is in how you see what is around you. The invaders did not lose because they were weak. They lost because they believed nature stands still to be conquered. History is not only written with victories, it is written with mistakes that the defeated never have time to understand. And here is such a story. The tide rises and falls without emotion, but it always takes the side of those who understand it. Episode 12, The Ally of Coldness. You are standing next to someone, but do you actually feel their breath? The northeast monsoon, cold and ruthless, becomes an ally. Do not resist. Do not force. Only align. The wind of destiny is blowing. Only those who know how to turn the sails of their soul can survive this era. You think fire is a weapon? No, fire is simply the answer to an arrogance that has gone too far. History is not only written with victories, it is written with mistakes that the defeated never have time to understand. And here is such a story. When humans believe they control everything, that is exactly when they are about to be consumed by the very things they claim to own. Episode 13. How are you? I'm fine. A social script. Short. Brief. Hiding. A volcano. About to erupt. Inside the silence, the fire rafts on the Bạch Đằng River were exactly that. Drifting volcanoes. They weren't tall. Not bronze-plated. Not threatening. They drifted. Slow. Silent. But inside was a heat. Intense enough to melt even brass. Fire attack is not just about fire. It is systematic. Panic. One ship burns. A connection too tight becomes a death sentence. The fire spreads like a virus. No vaccine. The more crowded, the closer, the more self-destructive. Closeness without depth only spreads the collapse. Are you shining because you have true value? Or are you burning because you are part of a dying system? There are moments in history when the losers already knew they had lost. But there was no way back. History is not only written with victories, it is written with mistakes that the defeated never have time to understand. And here is such a story. Bạch Đằng was not a battlefield. It was where the illusion of power was completely stripped bare. Episode 14. A small mistake within a family can collapse an entire generation. Because we live in interconnected links. At Bạch Đằng, there was no need to burn every single ship. One only needed to trigger a single reaction. The ships were chained together. They called it strength. But under fire, it was a collective trap. Fire does not ask permission. Panic spreads faster than flames. The more they flee, the more they drag each other down. This is the sentence for every system that worships scale but lacks internal independence. Society teaches you to connect at all costs, but connection without a soul is only chaining yourself to a burning ship. A true family is where each person lights their own fire, not waiting for warmth from someone else. Do you smile because you belong to a crowd, or because you are detached enough to not be swept into the flames of chaos? When hundreds of ships burn in the middle of the river, water is no longer water. History is not only written with victories, it is written with mistakes that the defeated never have time to understand. And here is such a story. That is the moment people realize every empire that collapses begins with a fire from within. Episode 15. At the end of a war, what remains is not a number, not a victory, not a statistic. It is a bottomless feeling of emptiness. When hundreds of ships burn in the middle of the river, water is no longer water. It becomes a liquid hell. Resin bleeds out. Kerosene overflows. Rotting wood disintegrates. Everything merges into the ebbing tide. The water boils. Heat rises. The river's surface has no escape. The enemy is left with two choices: stay on the ship to be burned alive, or jump into the seething water to be swept into the hidden stakes waiting below. No more tactics, no more heroes, only the ultimate end of arrogance. They once wanted to use this river to swallow Viet, and now that very river swallows them. The romance of this final chapter does not lie in the fire. It lies in the silence after the storm. When the next dawn rises over waters filled with ash, people finally realize power is only an illusion if it does not stand upon an understanding of laws greater than oneself. 30 years later, 50 years later, or much longer, when people retell this story, they won't just hear about the fire attack. They will hear about self-immolation. Every empire that wants to swallow others with the fire of ambition ends by becoming prey to that very fire. Are you living a decent life on the outside while nurturing the fires of envy and conquest within? This question doesn't need an immediate answer. It is a needle left inside your head. Do you smile because you won a power game, or because you are sober enough to realize that we are all just travelers on the river of time? Don't let your life end like a ship, blazing but aimless in the current. Be a small candle, bright enough to warm, but never to consume. Do you smile because of happiness, or because you just escaped from a hell that you created? The waves of Bach Dang still crash like a reminder. There is a nation that won with fire, but always kept a heart cold enough to never lose the capacity to love. It sounds like history, but actually, it is talking about us.